This podcast is brought to you by Greenpill Health, the #1 health tech platform that makes it simple and easy to adopt and maintain a healthy lifestyle. Most traditional healthcare services require you to pay huge monthly premiums only to be told that your benefits have expired just when you need them the most. Greenpill Health is different. We provide a la carte healthcare, which means that you pay only for the services that you use and not a cent more. Come select from our wide array of healthcare services, which include doctor's appointments, psychologists, physiotherapists, dietitians, and so much more. Visit www.greenpill.co.za to find out more and begin your journey to your best self. Now, without further ado, we bring to you this exclusive Greenpill Health interview with featured yoga instructor Shanna Peterson. Listen to Shanna document her journey of becoming a yogi.
Where did you start? Like, what made you say, like, Shanna, this is what I love, this is what I'm into, and I want to give people access to this. So, like, just walk us through it and let me know.
Okay, so I wasn't a sickly child, but I had a lot of allergies. I was allergic to wheat and dairy and grass and animals. Like, my first pet was a tortoise because it didn't have any fur. I think luckily I was very blessed to be born to parents, my dad particularly, who was very interested in nutrition.
Yeah.
So even as a teenager, he was sort of, learning as much as what he could. And then obviously when I arrived with all my allergies, I was born in 1980. So just to put it into context, that was the era of that red juice and green juice that you squeezed into water.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have substitutes for me for, wheat and dairy and stuff.
Yeah.
So my dad did as much as he could and sort of taught me as a child to read food labels, and he taught me that the main additive or preservative that actually made me cough was sulfur dioxide. Oh, okay. So I was like 8-9 years old, and I was like, if I went to a friend, I would ask the mom if I could read the label on the juice or whatever she was going to give us. So that I could know if this stuff was going to make me cough the whole night, or whatever. And so I think that's, my dad just instilled that in me from such a young age.
Yeah.
And it was so important for my daily health. I saw it and felt it, that interest there. And I think we're alive at quite an interesting time. So, being a child in the 80s and then the 90s to now, so much has changed, so much information is available. Yeah. Now there are wheat alternatives and dairy alternatives that weren't available then. So in those days, I had to eat that stuff, but I had to know how it would affect me. Yeah. And then also sort of, basically our rule in my house was by the time I came home from school, I wasn't allowed any more meat or dairy for the day. No. So there was we had to sort of make concessions that way. Because we didn't have a wheat alternative type thing. And then I actually come from a movement background. So I grew up doing ballet and dancing, which I loved, and wanted to sort of go into that. So ended up studying performing arts and drama, majoring dance. And it was just kind of a natural progression, I think, to then go into yoga and Pilates. Which is very mindful movement, and movement modalities. So I think the health aspect just sort of comes along with it. And generally speaking, the clients that are attracted to those type of movement modalities are interested in healthy stuff. They're sort of discussing health topics. They're always asking in group sessions. We sort of bounce ideas off each other and information. Yeah. So I think it just kind of, started off there, and grew from there. And now with the internet as well, we're very fortunate to have access to information that I didn't have as a child.
Very.
So it makes things a lot easier and more accessible.
So I have a follow-up question from that. How do you think, if let's say we introduce this platform and introduce like online consultations, how do you think that we can be inclusive towards like people in their 50s and their 60s? How do we make them feel more comfortable with a platform like this, you know? I think even with like our parents or uncles, they're very scared of doing things online, even like purchasing like stuff online with their own like debit cards and stuff. So like, how do you think introducing a platform like this to them would be like? Yeah. How do you think? What do you think are specific things that will make them feel comfortable and safe specifically?
I suppose possibly like an introduction video or some kind of like an advertisement or something, you know, with someone like me who's 45, where I can also attest to the fact that I have parents in that age group who feel exactly like that.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously, they need to reach out to their children and grandchildren to help them. I mean, I even asked my niece and nephew to help me with 10 things, you know, and I mean, if we can all sort of grow and learn together, then we can help each other along the way.
Definitely.
Because even my generation, we didn't grow up with computers or cell phones.
Yeah.
So, and being in like the movement space, I feel very not tech savvy, you know, so I can totally relate. But I think, just being able to show them that it's not that difficult, you know, and we can lead them through it and talk them through it and help them do it together.
Definitely. Like a post that I posted yesterday, I am the marketing and onboarding head for Greenpool Health. So essentially everything when it comes to gathering healthcare professionals, keeping that relationship, and monitoring and all of that stuff, all that fun jazz. So what I was speaking about yesterday is that I think what we want to always hit the nail on is to know that this platform is human for human. You know what I mean? It's like this platform allows different types of like generations. I'm from a very different generation. I'm actually Gen Z. I'm 20 years old. So I'm very into wellness and fitness through my parents. My mom used to have a few IV bars here and there, and I was very conscious about my skin preservation, being intact in general. So I think this platform in some way bridges every sort of generation, because right now, out of any situation right now, in not even just South Africa but globally, taking care of yourself is so essential, and it's very, very essential. So I wanted to ask, do you ever have a client or success story behind a client, or like know a specific client, and could you tell us maybe about it?
Do you mean success in with regards to a specific health condition, or specifically movement or injury?
Movement.
Yes, absolutely. I've had quite a few clients, in fact, referred to me by orthopedic surgeons who were wonderful surgeons and conservative, and expressed to the client that they would rather not operate. You know, they didn't feel that it was necessary at that point, and they expressed to the client that, you know, spinal surgery is quite invasive, and then obviously comes with long periods of rehab and, you know, decreased mobility and stuff like that. So they encourage the client to seek out Pilates and obviously get healthy, get fit, lose weight. So basically take a holistic approach to the situation. And that's exactly what those clients in question did. They sought me out. They started off with private Pilates sessions, generally 3 times a week. And then from there, we sort of transitioned either to less sessions with me and more sessions on their own at home with pre-recorded content that I created for them, or joining groups with other people. And they absolutely they changed their diet. So in one instance, or some instances, they sought out a nutritionist. In other instances, they sort of did their own research and formulated their own diet plan of what worked for them, and they were, they followed that. They also did initially start off with pharmaceuticals from either the orthopedic surgeon or other medical professionals. And then from there, they also sort of tapered off the medications, but they did introduce nutritional supplements as well.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, they overhauled their entire life. So other than Pilates, they also either took up walking or swimming or some other kind of low-impact exercise supplements as well. And they were, they sort of, I mean, some of them went so far as to get special pillows, to help sleep and stuff like that. So we did actually look
I
at
have
that.
a guilty pleasure behind that.
Yes, we looked at them also just getting more sun exposure and fresh air and getting out in nature and stuff like that. So it was a total life sort of overhaul, and movement and everything.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about
I have a guilty pleasure around the pillows. Essentially, I ordered a pregnancy pillow, and
did you?
yes,
the donut
yes, I did those ones. And it's my guilty pleasure, it's part of my nighttime routine, and I swear by it. At some point, Greenpool Health is looking towards opening a marketplace where we'll be working with traders who offer those types of services and those products. And I think it would be super cool to integrate it as well. I mean, give it that someone wants maybe access to like keto diet or a pregnancy pillow, for example, just all of these things.
Yes.
So
and also to have almost like a listing of products that we recommend. So,
definitely.
Everything all in one place. That would be very helpful.
No, definitely. I have a question. So, what exactly? Okay, how do I phrase this question actually? What are the new things that we're noticing when it comes to like wellness and fitness that people are really getting into, that you think that it's not even a market gap for Greenpool Health, but something that we should talk a lot more about when it comes to like different types of like holistic care?
To be honest with you, there's so much. The scope is huge.
Yeah.
So I honestly think whatever comes up first, you know. If someone notices something or has just discovered something or someone mentions something and someone finds it interesting or had never heard about it and wants to look into it. So it's actually difficult. Honestly, I think you and I are both people that are interested in this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think to us, there's so much on our radar all the time. So honestly, I couldn't, and I think, we've also been aware of a lot of stuff for a lot longer than other people. So to be honest with you, I couldn't even sort of pick. But I mean, there is just so much, like the sleeping, different pillows, the blackout curtains or darker curtains, eye masks, earplugs. There's so many things that aren't medications.
That still close that gap. I mean, I wanted to ask another question. When do you think it's I don't believe in right time when it comes to wellness and fitness, but when do you think it's the best time for someone to acknowledge that they should actually try going for a Pilates or a yoga class just to see what could happen? When do you recommend that?
Well, I think as well, I believe in divine right timing. So I think everything comes to us at the right time. So some people, could be very busy with their corporate career, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't actually crossed their path as yet, So there is that whole thing of it's never too late, but it's also never too early.
True.
So if someone has come across it and they are familiar with it or they aren't familiar with it, that's very often, the starting points. For some people, they've heard about it, they know about it, they want to try it. For other people, they have absolutely no clue. And then someone mentions it or they see something and they think, maybe this is something I should be looking into.
Yeah.
So literally, whenever it comes across your path and it piques your interest, whatever it is, whether it's Pilates or something else health related, I would say if it catches your attention, there's a reason for that and
Definitely.
investigates.
No, definitely. I remember when I first took my first yoga class, but my yoga class was a hot yoga class actually. I went with my mom. I believe I was 6. Yeah, 6.
That's incredible.
Yeah, my mom is very health conscious. She made sure as soon as she
Wow.
saw me, she was like, yeah, you're getting a blue yoga mat. You're starting the moment you know how to walk. So my first class was a hot yoga class. And when I tell you, it was monumental for me. And this is when it was like the start for me. And it just snowballed into this, where I am right now, where it was hot. Like, all I remember is that it was hot, but afterwards it was refreshing. Like walking back out into the atmosphere and the air, and it was the most refreshing thing I've ever done. And moving forward, I knew that this is a very big passion of mine. You know, like, I don't believe there's a specific time that one should try something. You try it when you believe it's time for you to do that. But I think it's never too late to try different types of holistic care, be it different types of doctors, different types of practices, different types of offerings. You know, you never wrong to ever put yourself first in that sense. And I mean, that's all I could say from my generation. My generation is really into trying out new things. We're very adventurous. Yes,
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, that's incredible that you have that.
Yeah.
You know, that you are willing to learn and discover and try. Because that's the thing is you won't know until you try
Until you
whether or not
try.
something is for you.
Yeah.
And you know, with yoga, there's so many different styles of yoga. So that's what I also found.
Yeah.
Is very often someone, if they like or don't like yoga, it's very often because the very first class they did was a particular style that either resonated with them or
Or
didn't.
didn't, yeah.
And then they think that that is all of yoga,
Yeah.
but it's not.
But it's not.
And incidentally, my first sort of mindful movement job was running a hot yoga studio.
Nice.
So, yeah, so it is. It's exhilarating when you walk out of
Yeah.
the, you know, so initially it's uncomfortable and you have to sort of work through that discomfort,
Yeah.
you know. And then like you say, when you get out of the studio into the fresh air, it's just like, wow.
Wow.
So 100%. There's no. I mean, you're the perfect example. You started when you were 6. You know, some people might only come to it when they're in their 50s or 60s. It doesn't matter. You know, mindful movement and holistic health, they meet you where you are.
Yeah.
And you start from, and you go from there. So honestly, if something crosses your path and piques your interest, explore it.
Just go for it.
And yeah.
So what do you think are little habits or things that people can sneak into their routine that could really put them on the right journey when it comes to taking on holistic care and taking care of themselves in a mindful way, in a very demure way, in a very cutesy way? So what are the little activities that you think people could sneak into their regimen?
I would say first thing is mindfulness. So actually when COVID happened and lockdown, I was busy doing a mindfulness training.
Yeah.
And I think that's the start of everything, is to be mindful of yourself, your habits, literally stop and just be curious, just have a curiosity, you know, and an inquisitiveness as to how you can improve yourself, your life.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we are the only ones who are going to live in our body. So,
True.
and our lives. So we need to optimize everything for ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you're not sleeping well, if you're not eating well, if you're stressed, if you're living on caffeine, if you're rushing around from pillar to post, the only person that can of that better is you.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, people can say, oh, it's not me, it's my job, but you have the power to change jobs or change, you know, a different career or move cities or whatever. But it has to start with mindfulness. You have to actually point, you stop and you're like, okay, this is my life, this is my situation, and we all have the life we've chosen.
Yeah, true.
So what choices do I want to make now? And it can be something as simple as maybe drinking one extra glass of water per day.
Yeah.
Or parking further away as opposed to trying to get the parking that's right by the entrance so that you have to walk and you have to carry whatever bags of whatever you bought, So it has to come from the inside. It has to come from you wanting to make better choices and decisions.
Yeah.
In order to do that, you have to take stock of where you are and you have to look at things and see what you can change, what you can optimize, and what little steps and increments you can make.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the problem is people try and overhaul everything and it's too much too soon. And it's in the 21st century, life is too busy, and then they fall off the wagon. Whereas when you start making small little changes, it's so much easier. They become daily habits, and before you know it becomes your new life.
Perfect.
So
no, I can't help but agree with you. I feel like with me, I work remotely depending on the endeavor it is. So for me, it's like even the people that work from home, for example, it's like these little things that they could add into their routine every now and then just to even boost it through lunch breaks. Maybe take a walk around the house, maybe run, maybe take a jog, calm down with the coffee, maybe switch it to a tea alternative, maybe be chai. Just little things that are in our routines that we need to be more mindful of the skincare that we use and what it means for us, mindful of our weight, not even the weight itself, but how we eat through our blood types as well. My parents taught me to eat well within my blood type and to know how much my limit is. Yeah, I feel your struggle. So they
what blood type are you?
A negative.
Oh, wow, okay. I'm O positive, and so are both my parents and my sister,
Lovely.
which makes it easier.
My mom is A negative as well, so it was very easy for her to switch me into her routine.
Yes.
So eating within my blood type and my weight restrictions. So I used to do this thing where I used to drink a lot of water, and it would make me quite nauseous at the end of the day. And my parents taught me that you need to also eat or drink within your weight as well, because there's so much your body can take. I'm not an alcohol consumer like that, but for example, people that do drink on the occasion, your body can only take so much, and you need to know where your limit is as well. And the same goes with food, the same goes with water, and just other activities in general. So it's great to know there's another person whose parents put them on a diet that is within their blood type, because whenever I tell that to friends and colleagues, they're like, that's a bit psycho. I'm like, no, that's my parents. I'm like, no, that's my parents.
It's actually not. There's so much science behind it. It's fascinating. We literally have an entire library of all the books by Dr. D'Adamo, who created the blood type diet. So when you read them and you look at his websites, there is science-backed research. And I think the best is the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
I know, my family knows from living in accordance with our blood type, how we feel.
Yeah.
It optimizes our performance and our lifestyle in every single way.
Definitely.
And again, you won't know until you try.
Yeah.
So, you and I can attest to it because we've lived it.
Yeah.
And we've seen the benefits, seen and felt the benefits.
No, definitely. I think this is like information that will be really helpful to people out there, the daily people that are scrolling on their phone, on LinkedIn, and just trying to figure out where, because people don't know where to start. And they go overhaul, like you said. They just try everything all in once. They don't know what exactly would work for them. Yes, you need to try things to know how it works for you. But they kind of squish everything together and they force themselves. If you're going to tack on wellness, you need to be ready for it and prepped for it in your mind. It's not even about the timing. But you need to be at a point where you're like, okay, I'm open to trying this. If it leads to a big load of abundance for me, then so be it. But if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. I will try a different method. But it just takes one to be ready to accept that change or that difference in the daily regimes. And I think scrolling on social media, be it YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, where this is going to be posted, it'll be very interesting for others. And I feel like we've dived into like 5 topics in one standing. even though we were going to do 3, and I'm just living for it. I'm loving it. So yeah, let's go on. I think, yeah, it depends on how people really look into it, but also it comes back to how you are mentally in your life, where you are mentally. This is where COVID really put that it really put everyone on the spotlight there, on the stage, and to put them in that place where they're like, are you really happy with what's going on in your life? What is it? And what are your stresses? How are you dealing with it? Others, I mean, we all deal with things in our own ways. Others went through substance abuse. Others went through alcohol abuse. Others just went through a point where it's just numbness in a way, and not having anything to bring that excitement, that joy, that energy back. And this is why the Green Pearl Health platform was created, because after COVID, we noticed the decline in mental health and physical wealth and just so much aspects. And it's just, it's insane to watch, because, I mean, the platform's been here for like, not really a long time. We've been here building the platform, but it's great to gather all of the knowledge from healthcare professionals like yourself that have known a lot and have seen through before COVID and after COVID and during COVID. It's insane. It's just insane. So what are a few tips that you'd want people to have before trying Pilates or yoga? Just hot tips.
Honestly, like I said, just have a curiosity and a desire to experience it, also to learn.
Yeah.
Because like I say, there's different styles of yoga which people may not know, you know, and I think definitely if you try a particular style or a class and you didn't enjoy it for whatever reason, don't give up. Try a different style.
Yeah.
Or try a different instructor within the same style.
Yeah.
But each instructor can string the poses together or essentially choreograph their class within a particular style differently, you know. Or also you might love an instructor but hate the music they played, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And that can sound petty, but the thing is, it contributes to the overall experience.
Yeah.
So if something about the session bothers you and pulls your concentration away from the moment, it's ineffective. So, you know, you don't have to then sort of cancel all of yoga, just check. It just possibly means that style or instructor or class or studio or location wasn't 100% the line for you. But by the same token, sometimes as well, you need to give yourself a little bit of time to work through the discomfort. You know, sometimes it's just different and strange and new, and it's not something you used to, especially if you come from a very sort of gym-orientated mindset of exercise. I found when I was living in Durban, I taught every single day at Discovery Health, and we would alternate yoga and Pilates. And initially, at the beginning of the year, you know, we'd get obviously new people attending and everything, and they would initially say that they wanted hard Pilates and hard yoga classes, you know. And I would up the ante slightly. But the other thing was, you know, being a corporate, 60 people could arrive for the class. I've never met them before. I don't have a medical history. I know nothing about them. So you can't then go and do hectically advanced stuff where people risk injuring themselves. And the other thing is, what we found over time is, then on a Friday, I would do a yin or a restorative yoga class. And everyone would obviously come to that, or, you know, they would come to all the classes. And then over time, they would be like, oh, the Friday class is the best. Can we do that one? Because from experiencing it, they realized that their lives were so busy, so stressed. They were working such long hours that they did not need their exercise regime to be fast-paced and hard as well. They actually needed the opposite. And it was only through experiencing the opposite that they realized how much more it gave them as opposed to a hard workout. So you can have hard yoga workout. You can do Ashtanga yoga, or you can have like a hard Pilates session where you're using extra hand weights and ankle weights, and the pace is fast, and, you know, the transitions just go from one to the other. But then you can have a more restorative session where the music is more chilled and the vibe is more chilled, and you really come out of it at the end restored.
Yeah.
But again, you won't, in our fast-paced 21st century life where everything is on demand, you don't realize that that's what you need until you actually experience it.
Most definitely. And I'd want to leave it on a really great note, what styles do you offer, so that if there's any viewers that we have that would love to really give in, what do you have to offer essentially?
So I offer a bit of everything. I absolutely, coming from a movement background, I love a flow or a vinyasa yoga.
I love it.
And
I love it.
Yes, and I tend to make my Pilates classes. I do have stronger advanced clients.
Okay.
Where obviously those classes and sessions will be stronger and more advanced.
Yeah.
They'll use props and weights and stuff like that. And like I say, the exercises won't necessarily be advanced that beginners can't do. It's more the intensity and the pace.
Yeah.
But I also love a restorative yoga class and a restorative stretch session.
Yeah.
I think it's so needed for all of us.
No, definitely.
And in most of my classes, I tend to kind of make them more sort of the middle way, and then the clients have the option to add weights and add props and add a level of difficulty with modifications to their body and their session on any given day if they want to up the level of difficulty. But if they're having a bad day, physically or mentally, they're tired, they have the option to do the sort of lesser modifications, leave the weights, sort of end 5 counts before the rest of us, so that they can, exactly that, their practice can meet them where they are on that given day at that time in their life. Because life is so busy at the moment, and I think that's also where the mindfulness comes in. Like I say to my clients, don't judge yourself, don't judge your practice. Give your body and your mind what it needs now, today. If it needs a gentler practice today, awesome.
So good.
If you have the energy to give yourself and go for a more determined practice, awesome. Yeah. But don't think that a harder practice is always better. No. Because in the long run, it can be detrimental.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, Shanna, thank you so much for bracing us with your knowledge, and I'm just so happy to hear all of this. It's so great to hear from healthcare professionals. I think when it's my co-workers and we have friends who are healthcare professionals, but we ourselves cannot say that we have the education behind it to be speaking on these topics. But we do, however, have the knowledge on someone who receives it. Like Kuda is really big into wellness and fitness through what he has gone through. I am through my upbringing, by virtue of my upbringing. So it's really beautiful and really delightful, because what I used to do in my hot yoga classes is I used to go for a hot yoga at Indie Hots, which is in Branston. And I would talk to the owner, Robin, after the class, we talk for like 30 minutes. And she's like, Tato, I have another class. You are taking my time. We will talk about this next week. But thank you so much, Shanna. I think this is going to be really helpful to a lot of our viewers. And to be able to post this up, we are really, really grateful to have healthcare professionals like you. And thank you so much for availing yourself. Same time tomorrow. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shanna. I'm going to edit this today.
Thank you. Good. And then, more chats like this to come.
For sure. Thank you so much, Shanna. Have a great day. I'm going to do some meditation now. And then I'll edit this video.
Awesome.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay. Lots of love. Bye.
That was lovely.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to this podcast. If you're a health professional and would like to join our ever-growing network of providers, simply visit www.greenpill.co.za to find out more and to register. The future is in your hands.